Hey guys, what's going on? Mike the Caveman Kuhn here again from Paleo Primal Long Island, MikeTheCaveman.com. Today's question comes from my good friend Mike Callow over at LifeOfAFighter.com. His question had to do with whether or not we could use a stress and piggyback off of that, off the inflammatory response to improve recovery, okay? So the concept he's talking about is what's known as a hormetic stressor, all right? So what is that? Well, stress, we think about it's either good or it's bad, right? Well, not exactly. It's somewhere in between, okay? What it depends on is something called your allostatic load, all right? I know I'm throwing a bunch of words, but it's okay. So what that means, a hormetic stressor is when you have stress, you get a beneficial response back, okay? Think, exercise, right? You go to the gym, you lift, and over time, you get stronger, right? It's progressive overload. So you tear your muscles down, that's a stress. Inflammation occurs, and then you get a response, right? You get a beneficial response. Your muscles adapt and grow bigger. That is a hormetic stressor. When your body adapts to that stress to become stronger, that is hormesis. Now, if on the other hand, the amount of stress that's put on you is too large, or you do it too quickly, that's when it's damage. Okay, to give you an example, if I was to take this stick and bend it slowly, no problem. It has the tensile strength, it can bend with it. If, however, I was to take it and snap it in half, but went too fast, you might see that, with your muscles. You try to lift a load that's too heavy for you, or you try to jump the weight too quickly. What happens? Your muscle, connective tissue, it can snap. So that's what happens if your load is too high already. When it comes to stress though, there are a lot of factors that can play in, okay? Whether you're getting enough sleep, whether there's a psychosocial stress, how am I gonna pay the mortgage this month? My car just broke down, the wife is angry at me, etc., etc. There's so many different things that could be happening to you. So those stresses all start to add up. It's like little drops of water on the ground, right? If we go here, a little bit, no problem. But something else comes along and it might be too much, okay? So, when it comes to stress, you want some, but not too much at once, okay? Now, I was having a conversation with my good friend Kale the other day, no relation to the vegetable, but we were talking about toxic exposure, whether it be in water or it be in the air, as a hormetic stressor. If you have everything else dialed in, if your health is in line, you're eating right, you're sleeping, you're doing stress reduction strategies, then sure, exposure to some contaminants in the water, exposure to pollution in the air, not that big of a deal. But if you've been having those drops of water just dripping, but if you're like most people and you're not taking care of those processes, then you're going to have a problem and you get that snap. That might be what breaks the camel's back. Now, inflammation, okay, particularly as a result of stresses of some type, whether it be those psychosocial, whether it be physical stress, whether it be chemical oxidative stress, those are all related to pretty much every health condition, every chronic condition, whether it be autoimmune and allergy, whether it's cancer or metabolic syndrome, cardiovascular disease, pretty much anything you can think of, those all have inflammation at their root. The key is finding that right level, finding what is your allostatic load. If you have everything dialed in, you can probably tolerate a little bit here and there, and you can adapt. You can use those little insults as a hormetic stressor, okay? The key is making sure everything is good, okay? Now, obviously, you're never gonna be perfect. You're always going to be exposed to something. So the key is do the best you can. Make the best choices you can. Okay? If you can't get good water, well, better make sure you get your sleep in right. Okay? If you can't always buy organic, grass-fed, pasture-raised, make the best choices you can. Trim those fats if it's not the right one. Add quality ones back in. Minimize the stress you can, that way you can tolerate the ones you can't. So about my question about using stress to jumpstart the cascade, okay? You can do it. Just make sure everything else is done right first, okay? Personally, I'd rather use small hormetic stressors. Like I said, exercise, all right? A little bit of either caloric restriction, particularly I prefer glucose restriction, a little bit of fasting. Those are all excellent ways of doing that. But if you're not getting enough sleep, if you're chronically stressed, if you're not getting enough vitamin D, all these are linked to inflammation. One more huge one though, and this one is a personal favorite of mine, has to do with your gut, okay? If your gut is not in line, what ends up happening is the bacterial, particularly gram-negative bacteria in your gut, they have in their cell membranes something called LPS, lipopolysaccharide. It is an endotoxin, an inside toxin, and it can release inflammation systemically. Now, if it's in your gut and it's where it belongs, probably not a problem. But if you already have an overgrowth of pathogenic bacteria, odds are you also have some intestinal permeability or some leaky gut going on. So what's going to happen then? Well, it's going to pass through your intestinal wall and get into your bloodstream, okay? That's where a lot of those issues start out, because now you have those endotoxins, LPS, just floating all around in your bloodstream. It can go anywhere depending on how well you won the genetic lotto, depends on what you're going to present with, but that's a major cause. Your gut leads to inflammation systemically throughout the body. So make sure you're taking all the steps you can do to reduce that inflammation and reduce your stress in other aspects of life. Make sure you're eating real foods, make sure you're focusing on your gut, you're getting enough sleep, you're doing some stress reduction techniques, whether it be breathing or yoga, meditation, whatever works for you, but use things. Be able to manage that stress, that way you can tolerate the other ones. Otherwise, rather than getting a little bit, you're gonna get a lot. Alright guys, if you like that video, you know what to do. Like and subscribe, share it with your friends. You find me on Instagram and Twitter at Mike the Caveman, over on Facebook on Paleo Primal Long Island, and of course over at MikeTheCaveman.com. I'll see you next time, and guess I gotta dry off.